Yeah, g'day, Ramen boy. Today, it's a little bit grey, it's a little bit ugly outside, it's raining, and one of my favourite comfort foods, or two of my favourite comfort foods, ramen and risotto. And today we're going to put them both together using leftover little risotto packets, ramen packets. You know, sometimes I use the noodles from these guys and I don't use the seasoning. Sometimes I just use the seasoning and then I've got noodles left over for different dishes, because packets of ramen are the best thing you can have in the kitchen because they're so versatile. But we're not going to use these because they're not opened, but I do have a couple of random little bits and pieces. So I'm going to use this as the base of our risotto flavour to have a delicious ramen risotto. So it's really simple. It's basically a white risotto using all these seasonings for the stock. So first thing I'm going to do is just basically, I don't need to do anything too crazy with these yet, but what I'm going to do is get a little pot on with some water. I got the kettle boiled just to start things off a little bit. It's always a little cheat, have the kettle going. But basically I'm going to do about a litre of water, maybe a little bit more. I like my risotto quite loosey-goosey, quite wet. And there's obviously a few different ways people like to make risotto. And different techniques, which we'll go through now. But first, I'm just gonna get our flavour into our stock, which you would normally use. You know, if you're making normal risotto, you'd have either like a chicken stock, or you might have a fish stock, or, you know, vegetable stock. What else we got? It smells so good already. These ones, I think there's a couple of spicy ones in here as well, so it could be a little hot on the tongue, this one, but it's all good. We like that. Who knows? Here's another soup base. Get that going. Whew. This is going to get you all fired up. Now, ramen is delicious and tasty. Best served in Japan or at a really good ramen restaurant, but far out. Don't drop the packet in there. But this is a fun little way to eat your food. Give this a little stir. Gonna pop it on the heat. And we just want this to sort of be, we don't want it to be boiling, we just want it to be ticking away, simmering, so that we're putting hot stock onto our rice and things aren't just getting shocked. So I'm gonna pop that on there, pop the lid on. I'm gonna turn it down quite low because already boiling water, which is perfect. Don't need my scissors anymore. Let's get on to the base of our risotto. Now, most risottos start with onion, garlic, really finely diced celery, maybe carrot if you want to go that way. Generally, when I do my risotto, it's just garlic, finely diced onion, and finely diced celery. Today, we're going to do onion base. We're going to throw some garlic in as well. We're going to use a little bit of ginger, happy days, and because there is a bit of a kick, I'm going to follow that through with some extra chili. So we'll just rip into that. Get my knife. Really, really simple. We've done this a few times. You take the top off the onion, peel the skin off, leaving the root bulb sort of attached. That holds everything together, and then we run our knife down one way, then we run our knife sideways, and then we can do a really nice fine dice. I might actually need a bigger knife to do that, but we'll start here. Okay. Smells good already. Here we go. Get a bigger knife for the next part. Make it easier to slice. Hold it all together with your fingers, nice and fine. Because basically you want all these ingredients to almost melt away in your risotto. No matter what sort of risotto you're making, this is a bit of a, what I'd like to call a novelty risotto. But the method and the base of this is basically the same as if you were doing like, you know, pea, mint, goat's cheese risotto, or a seafood risotto, or whatever, mushroom, thyme, So good. So similar sort of process, similar sort of technique, just different flavors. Obviously, if you're making like a red risotto, you'd have some passata, or you know, you would be using tomatoes in there. This is very much a white risotto, although it'll probably be a little bit red with all the different seasonings we've got. But like the winter is here, it's pretty chilly. This is a real comforting dish. It's delicious. And it also is nice just to be in the kitchen. Cooking something like this, it takes a little bit of time. You know, this isn't a 2-minute ramen. It's gonna take at least 20 minutes to get it done, because you really wanna gently, slowly cook that arborio rice and slowly cook this down with the onion. So I'm gonna get the onion just going. Low heat again, a little bit of olive oil. Get it cracking along. Doesn't need to be a super hot pan to get things going. Gentle, gentle at this stage. Nice fine dice. Happy days. All right, garlic time. A couple of cloves of garlic in there. Just 2 big ones, I reckon. Happy days. Crack. Again, I'm just gonna run the knife through it quite finely. The other way, back the other way. Mince it up a little bit. Garlic's looking good. A little bit of a stir. Get things cracking. And then I'm gonna go for some chili. Same sort of movements. I'm gonna cut it down the middle. Now obviously the hottest part of the chili is the membrane, it's the seeds, it's all those bits and pieces. So if you're not looking for that, then get rid of it. If you don't really care, keep it in. Finely slice. These long red chilies are generally not super hot anyway, so we can be pretty cool with that, knowing that it's not gonna blow our heads off. Chili's going in. Oh, it smells so good. Just gonna turn my stock off, it's just going a bit fast. Probably could have only done half an onion. That's a lot of onion in there, isn't it? Whoops. Oh well. Should be right. It's another chili down. In it goes. Stirring. Just sweating this down. We don't want any colour, so just keep an eye on it. Make sure it's not burning. Make sure that it's just sweating. This is always pretty hot, this back burner, but I'm keeping an eye on it. It's all good. A little bit of ginger as well. Okay. Some nice thin slices, and then we'll just sort of julienne it, then we'll just cut it again and we'll get it into some small fine dice. Definitely not traditional. I wonder what the Italians and the Japanese are thinking right now. What the hell are you doing, mate? You're an idiot. But it tastes good. It's a bit novel. It's a bit fun. It's a bit warming. It's like a big hug from your Italian Japanese grandma. There we go. Ginger. Just a little kiss to the Japanese side of things. Okay, it's looking good. Everything's sweating down. You can see the onions just starting to become translucent. The aromas are good. Things are nice and fine, and that's what we're happy with right now. Smells delicious. I'm gonna just add a little more olive oil because I'm just about to chuck in our Arborio rice. So we got that there. Just gonna use a cup to measure things out. Sort of like to eyeball my risotto, but you can sort of get a good start with cup measure. All right, so this is Arborio. You can use carnaroli, that's right. Rice as well. Or bomba rice is another type of rice that you could potentially use. But Arborio is obviously your most common, what you're gonna find in the supermarket pretty easily. That's a pretty big cup, so I'm just gonna pour that in there. And this makes a fair bit, so just that amount of rice is really gonna create a beautiful meal for 3 or 4 people. And the key now, I really think, and now, like I've said a few times, everyone does their risotto a little bit differently. The key, I think, is getting a little bit of heat on the rice before you start adding any stock, any of your wine, any of those bits and pieces, getting it fully coated in those oils, getting it a little bit toasty, just activating those grains of rice before you, add your other bits and pieces. Okay, I can get rid of my mug. Toasty, toasty, roasty, roasty. Make sure all those grains are coated in the oil, getting that flavour on there. Smells incredible. And the key, I think, with a good risotto is having individual grains really standing out in the mix. So you don't want to turn it into this big mushy porridge. It really wants to be a definite, defined rice grain that you're eating. Okay, that's looking good. In here, I've got some sake, which normally if we were doing an Italian style, you'd probably use some nice white wine just to deglaze the pan, get those really delicious aromas going. But we're gonna use a little bit of sake, get things cracking along, so that can go in. Smells good. As soon as it hits the pan, get those aromas. Just sort of shift it around a little bit. And you'll know and notice automatically fragrance, deliciousness. You just want to basically evaporate off that alcohol and just leave yourself with flavor. So that's pretty much what it's done now. All the liquid is almost gone. It's either evaporated or absorbed into the rice. Now we start the process of adding the stock. Now this is where the time ticks away. So we're gonna sort of speed through this a little bit, but basically I've got my delicious ramen stock from my leftover ramen packets. And I'm gonna just slowly add the stock 1 ladle at a time to the rice and just wait for it to sort of absorb. So just start off with a single ladle and then that goes in. Now this is where technique comes into it. Some people stir. I'm not a stirrer. I like to sort of agitate and just sort of flip it around a little bit because I feel like if you stir it too much, you can sort of bring out too much of the starch, too much of the gluten, and it can become a bit gloopy. So I'm just gonna slowly sort of just flick it around, just really gently work with this. We're actually gonna turn this down a little bit because that's running too hot. I'm gonna move on to the back burner. You just wanna really gently be cooking that rice, okay? So, see, that's almost all gone already. It's absorbed it, so grab your ladle, have another crack, and just ladle it in. And you'll just see it just slowly soak everything up. And this process will take time, but this is the art of the risotto, and just slowly working it and getting that delicious, creamy, decadent, elegant, and tasty dish that I really love, and I hope you guys love too. It really is one of my favorite things to cook in the kitchen. And actually, looking back, when I started my MasterChef journey, this was not this dish with the ramen. This is a bit of a cheap version, but the risotto was the one dish that I cooked for Gary, George, and Matt for my very first audition of MasterChef. So it's something that's sort of stuck with me and something that I really love to cook. But we'll just tick away here. You guys chill out. We'll be back very soon. This will progress and we'll keep cooking. All right, we're getting some changes here. The grains are starting to soften, so what you need to be doing while you're cooking your risotto is just checking, seeing how it's tasting. Are the grains softening? Are they still sitting there as individuals? Is the seasoning good? You should really have no problem with seasoning with packet ramen, but yeah, just tasting, testing, all that good stuff. And you just want to make sure that the rice is still to the tooth, like al dente, but not like right now. It's a bit, you can see I'm struggling to speak. It's a bit still like dry and gritty. So a couple more ladles full of stock just to really bring it together. And while that's happening, I'm just going to get some Parmesan ready and sorted, because Parmesan and butter really are what make this risotto, or any risotto. And it's sort of that last step that you add into the rice to really give it that richness, that creaminess, that deliciousness. If I can get this open. Because that takes it from sort of like really simple, just stock and like water and rice, to something that's, you know, emulsified. It's got that creamy element to it, and it just tastes delicious, especially when you look at the butter. The butter in it is so good. And it's kind of funny, you think about like Japanese food, and I think about Italian food, and you're like, that's really weird, but some of the best food I've eaten has been by an Italian chef with Japanese training here in Sydney, a place called Lumi. It's absolutely amazing. This is nothing like the food he cooks, obviously. And then also, you look at some of the best pizza restaurants in the world are actually located in Japan as well. So it's kind of interesting that that sort of connection semi makes sense. This does not make sense at all. It just tastes good. It works. It's delicious. It's warming. It's a nice bit of cheese there. Happy days. Okay, cheese, butter, boom, boom, boom. Give this another little, you're really gonna make that funny face when you do this. It's quite, you need all your concentration. Let's have another little taste. I think we're not far off. I still think I could do with one more ladle, so in we go again with this delicious rich stock made by the gods of the packet ramen company. And we just wait. It is a waiting game, ramen, so make sure you got some stuff to do at the same time. Clean the kitchen, talk to some friends, have a glass of wine, drink some sake, have a beer, make some dessert. It's a good multitasker, this one. Another little tasty taste. I think we're there. I think we're good. So now, this is where the fun starts. Butter goes in, just plop it in. Boom, boom, boom. Don't be afraid. Don't be worried. Delicious. Butter. And then the Parmesan that we shaved, grated. They can go in there too. And same action, we're just gonna sort of toss it all on itself, and you'll see it start to sort of emulsify, creamify, do all the good stuff. You can already see like it's become creamier. The sauce has gone from looking translucent to opaque. Oh, yeah. The butter smells amazing. Actually feels heavier in the pan. Maybe I'm just getting weaker as the session goes on. But look at that, I think we do need a little bit more cheese. So I'm gonna just go A little bit more cheese. Straight into the pan. Yeah. But like I said, I do like my risotto quite loose. And adding the butter and the cheese, when things start to cool down, it will stiffen up. So you got to be aware of that. Let's have another taste. Oh my God. It's so good. Okay, that is delicious. Hot tip, I'd have a warm bowl. Just again, because if you're putting butter, cheese into that, goes into a cold bowl, again, it can get a little bit stiff. But a couple of big ladles, loosey-goosey. I love it. What do we got back here? I got some of these guys. A little bit of this delicious like Togarashi seasoning over the top. Just to make it a little bit more delicious. And then of course, another grating, just a light grating of Parmesan. Just rain it down over the top. And there you have a really delicious, beautiful, tasty, not so elegant bowl of ramen risotto. And I promise you, this will get things going. Rainy day, grey day. Good way to serve a lot of people as well. Bulk them up. Can add some prawns in here. Oh, pork. It's so good. Yum. It really is the butter and the cheese that makes it in the end. Just brings the flavors together. That's it. Enjoy. The recipe will be down below or somewhere whereabouts. Jump on the website, get amongst it. It's easy, it's straightforward, and it's so good.